create a character, and then once it gets approved by council, you get to challenge other artists to battles. And that's what I did with my nephew. I'm like, hey, I got this character, you have this character, let's do a battle for Into Void. And that's, as we started, that's when I went to Coma.
Hey guys, welcome to Inside Comics with George Michail. Really quick, if you like this kind of content, make sure you're subscribed and you tell a friend about it. Today, I'm super psyched. My guest is Alberto Melendez. Alberto, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thank you for having me, George. We've only talked to messengers a few times, but I've watched your videos and I think I know you pretty well.
Yeah, so you have a Kickstarter right now for a book called Rubble Roach versus Rocket Punch Siouxsie, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But before we talk about that, I'd like to talk about why making comics is important to you. We've all had our own kind of personal stories, and I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about yours and tell the viewers, why making comics is important.
Okay, so for me, I think Puerto Rican, obviously. So I was stolen from my island, Puerto Rico, and brought to the United States when I was about 5 years old. So a stranger in a strange land kind of thing. And one day I was in North Philly and I found a bag full of like these novels, but in comic book form. They're all in Spanish. And I'm like, what is this? And to me, that was my escapism. And for me, that's why comics are so important, because sometimes we don't relate with the outside world, but we also need that little niche to escape. And I think that's why we go to comics and we storytell. This is what we do. Everyone storytells, and some of us wants to do it in comic book form. So
yeah, no, I grew up loving comics as well. Kid in the 90s watching, Batman and X-Men, and we had the Marvel trading cards and the DC superpowered action figures and all that stuff. But it wasn't until I was in a big car accident in 2014 that kind of made me think, life is short. I should get after something that I'm passionate about. I've always wanted to make comic books, and always just been really nervous about putting myself out there. And so kind of having that traumatic situation was kind of the catalyst of me kind of getting into being a creative person.
So it was that storytelling aspect of yourself. Finally, you was like, you know what? If it doesn't go out into the world, it'll never go out. I could have died the other day, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I've had a similar thing happen to me. I retired at November of 2021. Was ready in the mode to start making comics full time, my lifelong dream. And February 14th to February 28th, I got struck with COVID and ended up in a 10-day coma, 25-day hospital stay. And the whole time after the coma, obviously my head's still trying to get together, was like, I could have ended it here. Everything I've dreamt about would have ended here. So definitely now it's a time to, and it's always a time, make your comics, make your dreams come true, because you never know. Tomorrow's never promised. So
yeah, absolutely. That's a crazy story, a 10-day coma. I'm glad you're doing better, and I'm glad you're back making your books, man.
Thank you, sir. I'm excited about it. So
let's get into Rubble Roach versus Rocket Punch Siouxsie. Can you tell me a little bit about the origin of this? How did this project come about?
So there's a website and a community called entervoid.com. It's a place made for artists to make artists draw more. So you create a character, you submit it, and then if the council approves it and your sequential pages, then you get to challenge other artists to comic book battles. So I did about 8, 9 of these, lost about 6 of them, but I won 3. So, and it's a way just to get you to draw more. So when I retired in November and I was ready to start my comic book journey, I talked to my nephew, Robbie, who's also an artist, always wanted to make comic books. In fact, this is his first comic book he's ever done. He's 37 now. And I said, hey, you got a character in Void. I got a character in Void. Let's challenge each other. Let's get all this dust and this rust out of the way. Let's get going. And as soon as we started in January, I started going. I fell into a COVID coma. And he's kind of calling my girlfriend every day, going, "Is he still alive? We really want to finish this comic." So the whole idea is that I was going to do my half, his half, and then we're going to submit to the community. They get to vote to see who wins, and take it from there. So
That's so cool. Can you tell me a little bit about these two characters and like what are their abilities, what are their personalities, that sort of thing?
so my character is Rubble Roach, and Robbie's Melendez, who's my nephew, is Rocket Punch Siouxsie. So my character basically came around when I was in Puerto Rico with my ex-wife. She was, from Kansas, very white, and not realizing how these cockroaches would go all over the place in Puerto Rico. So she was totally freaked out. So when I had my firstborn, I was like, man, it'd be cool if I turned him into this bio roach, 14-foot tall, plasma, mecha style. Let's go to San Francisco. Let's do some wrecking and stuff like that. And she said, nope. And I'm like, but what if you tell Liam that he could have been a roach and now he's not? And she said, fine. So that's how Rubble Roach came around. And then Rocket Punch Siouxsie basically came about. Robbie was telling me, I'm not sure why, but in this world of Void, you can use all kind of characters, like from Toon to anime to like Marvel style, DC style. And he just wanted this character who was a bike messenger who wanted a jetpack. That's all she wanted, so she can do her messaging, but she got a glove instead. So then she was kind of a little pissed off, so she was going to hunt down whoever sent her this glove. And that's when I decided, it's like, this is where I'll pick up the story as she's trying to hunt down that glove. And my character, Rubble Roach, Liam, who's the actual 16-year-old who turns into this bio roach, comes across this insane chick called Annie Mae. It's kind of a play on words. Any anime fans out there. And she's just psycho. And then when Siouxsie comes around the corner and sees this giant cockroach over this teenage girl, well, here we go. Decisions have to be made. So
there you go. And so the project is on Kickstarter right now, and I've included a link to Rubble Roach versus Rocket Punch Siouxsie. So anybody out there watching, go and check out this book. Go and support Alberto, and let's make this project happen. Alberto, I want to thank you for being on Inside Comics, and I'll catch you next time, man.
Anytime, brother. And good luck to your projects. I was just checking out your website, man. You got a lot of good stuff going. So I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, but today's about you, man. And I'll see you next time. Peace.
Move.